what if I told you that the most successful agents aren't the ones with the best marketing, the most experience, or even the biggest networks? I mean, it sure does help, but the ones that can take a hit and keep on going. Real estate, as you know, is a roller coaster. Deals fall through, clients ghost us, markets shift overnight. But the question isn't if you'll face setback, it's how you'll handle them. And that's what we're talking about today, emotional resiliency. Thank you for joining us on another awesome episode of the Agent Power Huddle. I'm your host, Dill Ward. I'm an active and productive icon agent with eXp Realty in Portland, Oregon. If you ever want to come visit, I'd be happy to show you around. And I've been in the industry over 15 years. Today, I'm going to show you how to develop the mental toughness that's required to bounce back from rejection, handle stress like a pro, and turn obstacles into opportunities. Because honestly, guys, it's not like, once a week in this business. It's like once an hour, we have to reset our energy and find the strength to carry on and do the work. Because I don't know about you, but when I got into this business, I didn't realize how much personal growth was going to be required of me to be excellent in sales and to be a great advocate for other people. Because man, if you're sensitive, you can just take everything personal. There's so many reasons to feel that someone doesn't like you, isn't into you, doesn't appreciate you. I mean, you could just all day long be in a pity party in this business, but the mental toughness and the resiliency required to stay high energy, to stay present to opportunities, and to keep learning every time you go is really what it takes. So resiliency is just like a muscle. You can build it. You can work out in the gym. You can do squats and you can get your butt firm and you can get your mind tougher to be more resilient against the things that you're perceiving as rejections. So every rejection, every client, every snarky text messages, I mean, this is what I'm observing in the world, is that because communication is becoming so fragmented and the way that we communicate is becoming so diverse, there are still people, I know it's hard to believe, but there are still people with fax machines in their house looking for communication. And there's other people who are wanting to communicate with through AI filters where they're asking AI every single thing to say and then sending it back. So the diversification of communication has become so dispersed. And I've noticed that your own filter, your internal lens, the glasses you put on and read the communications in the world can have such a strong effect on how we see what we think someone else is saying to us. And I've been studying this for a long time. I've been thinking about this a long time because for my own business, it required every time I got a message from someone, I had to be like, what does this mean? Why are they so rude? Why is it, like the perceptions around what we think someone else is saying. And I've long had to, luckily my partner is a lot more mature than me. So he often is like, I don't think they're saying what you think they're saying, Dill. It's so I've had the blessing of having someone to run things by, but it is incredible to me that that we can take something personal in like 10 seconds, right? But here's the thing, that every time there is a perceived rejection, like, the ghost client or they just, let's just say flat out reject you. They hired someone else, right? What do we do next is literally the indicator of your long-term success. And like most of us, when I watch my 8-year-old daughter and we tell her, no, you can't buy that toy in the store. And she literally wants to crawl into a ball on the floor and start crying. And like literally life is over and there's nothing else to think about. That's where we start in life. I think that's like our emotional intelligence piece where we are not able to detach ourselves from the outcome we thought we wanted for who our personal life and where we're going with life. Right. So I've noticed that we all start there. We kind of all start with that kind of reaction to not getting what we want. And then somewhere along the line, we got into real estate and we didn't realize that we might still be carrying the habits and the practice and the emotional processing that we had from, childhood or high school or wherever we left off our emotional growth. And so to be wildly successful in sales and real estate and be an advocate for other people, it requires us to get out of our own darn way and to grow our ability to be emotionally resilient and to not be so attached to every single thing that we want to see happen. Although you could argue in sales, being a driver of things is part of our success as well. But we can't let the obstacle that we hit upon when we want the outcome we want to just completely derail us, right? And I have seen this time and time again, sometimes in myself, I will admit. It's like, you had a set of expectations about the day, the appointments you had, things you were doing, and all of a sudden the person just ghosts you or no longer, or they send you that dreaded message, sorry, we're going with someone else or whatever, right? And then what do you do? Like, this is the thing. What do you do next? Do you just like tune out and just like go sit on the couch and watch Netflix and keep going over your head over and over and over and over what you said, what they said, what you said? Because that's like most of us are a little bit obsessive in what we do. And so that is like the first thing you got to be able to be self-aware, be able to check yourself. Now, you are allowed to have what I like to call the 1 to 2 minute pity party, because you do have to receive the energy that just came at you. That is the perceived rejection. But this next part is what separates the wannabes from the people who are just going to be wildly successful. And I believe the sweet spot is not to become so completely uncompassionate and unemotional about anything. I don't think that's the key. I think there are people like that. You see them just piling through and just, I don't have any emotion about anything. I'm just going to, take on the world. I don't think that's the key. And I don't think we should curl up on the couch and just watch Netflix for the next 24 hours. Like, there's somewhere in the middle where we can give ourselves grace and give ourselves the opportunity to learn and to figure out what we could have done better to sharpen our skills. Just like when you shoot a ball at the basket, if you miss the hoop, you don't just walk off the court and go, well, like, that didn't work. No, you got to go, what did I do different? Like, should I stand at a different angle? Should I have like warmed up first? Should I like give more energy to this and less energy to that? And like that studying, that self-awareness, that self-observation and the studying of our exact moves and our exact thought processes will actually bring us wild, awesome success, because we'll have so much self-awareness to self-regulate the emotional responses we have to literally every single thing, every single day, right? And it's not even just real estate, it's our families and our friends, and just communication on a whole is becoming very difficult, I think, on a global perspective because of the filters in our own mind. And it's usually set off by whatever we've been thinking about right before. So if you were thinking about going on vacation and how you're so excited to see friends and family you haven't seen in a while, and you're just like in this happy place and you're just observing whatever. And then someone sends you a message that is so rude and so just like without any, warm fuzziness that is delivering something. You're usually like, okay, well, that kind of sucks. And you're like, okay, you're like allowing yourself to continue on the day. You're not like defeated. But if you've been doom scrolling for 2 hours and now someone sends a message that's a little bit ambiguous and you aren't quite sure if they're intending to be mean to you or not, your own mind, your dubious little demon machine up here will tell you how they hate you and you're terrible and that you're screwing all this up. And like, it's just like the way you're interpreting the information. And so my advice to you is to see if you can become self-aware to your reaction. Like if you can name it almost out loud. And this is what I've been doing because, so many agents text now. I don't know about you, but there's some deals I've done where you can't even get them on the phone. You're just texting. And you're like, am I even working with a robot? I don't even know. But if you don't know any other nuance to that human being, if you don't know their character, if you don't know even their age or their gender, like sometimes you don't even know who you're actually transacting with, but you're supposed to have a perception around the communication that's coming at you in this text message, especially if they're, I don't know, I'm a little bit guilty of this sometimes. I'm like between appointments and I've just stopped at a stoplight and I'm texting like, okay, we'll be over there, These abrupt communications that don't have context, don't have warm and fuzzy, sometimes incorrect words. A lot of times we're dealing with different cultural languages. Maybe English is like someone's second language, but they're texting you and it's just like, it just reads wrong. You're just like, what is going on here? But if you can name your reaction, if you can I call it like stop, drop, and roll. Remember that from when we were kids? the fire department would come in. If you're on fire, stop, drop, and roll. It's like the same thing for your emotions. If you're having a reaction and you notice it, like, can you stop? And can you like just like step away from for a second? And can you name it? Can you say, I'm irritated, I'm frustrated, I'm confused, I'm da da da. If you can like name that emotion that you're having in that reaction from that communication, you could become so much more powerful because you can reset it and you can choose. You'd be like, okay, that was weird. And I don't know about you, but I love to always take the high road. I love to be triggered, frustrated, confused, and then go, okay, what does this person need of me right now? How can I be the leader? How can I step into the communication and provide direction on what I want to see happen next without just like getting in a reaction mode where I know you've seen this. A lot of the agents I coach will find themselves into like a tit for tat text message, like, bah, 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 bah. And I'm like, whoa, guys, that could get printed out and put in front of a judge. Like, be your best self, like communicate from the highest place because everything is being recorded. Everything is being documented in this world. Another thing that was really curious to me lately was that, a lot of people text each other and then I don't really think about that often, but now I've been thinking about people take screenshots of your text and they send it to someone else going, what does this mean? Right. And so be prepared to know that everything you're out there communicating could be being observed by other people, or they're just showing it to their spouse or their brother or their mom, or like, look what she said, or look what he did. So just always be your best. Check yourself, check yourself. If there's a moment where you think you're going to say something that you might regret or isn't in your highest best self or isn't leading you to the outcome you want, give yourself the space to stop, drop, and roll, right? Because that's part of that emotional resiliency is not playing into the emotion that you're feeling and then continuing it on. I think we can be really guilty of that when we're not aware. So self-awareness is number one. Number two, manage your stress like a pro athlete, right? So athletes don't define themselves by a single game. They're looking at the life of their career. And so it is so easy to be like, well, I didn't get that listing, so I'm terrible and I'm never going to get like the whole, hamster wheel of negativity that wants to give birth in your mind because you perceive something as one shot at the hoop and you're just a complete failure. So you have to, again, self-regulate your negativity spiral and give yourself grace to say, well, that sucked. I like to say, have the 1 to 2 minute pity party. Well, that sucked. And like, give yourself some grace, because how you handle yourself in literally every single situation is your brand, is what people think of you and what they say about you, is how you handle yourself, how you bring your energy to every communication and interaction. So I'm going to invite you to develop some simple habits. I already said self-awareness, deep breathing, exercise. I want to talk to you about this tool I learned from Brendon Burchard. He talks a lot about the release meditation. At first, I thought it was really stupid. I'm going to be honest. That was years ago. And then I was like, okay, maybe there's something to it. He's still teaching it. He's been teaching it a long time. And then finally one day I allowed my mind to go, maybe there's something to it. Maybe I should give it a try. And basically the premise of the release meditation is a couple times a day. It's just like flushing your RAM. It's like resetting your computer, turning it off and turning it back on so that, all the windows that you had open will kind of go away and it won't remember that you were trying to do 900 things at one time. The release meditation is simply just sitting back at your desk or wherever you are and just closing your eyes, just taking like a bunch of deep breaths and just literally saying release, 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 and just kind of just getting yourself into a state, just resetting your energy, resetting your body, allowing yourself to be ready for the next interaction, the next communication. If you listen to all the top coaches and trainers in real estate space, they're driving us to action. They want us to make calls. They want us to text. They want us to outbound energy. Okay. But you can't outbound energy unless you have any. So I have really come to understand that we have to be responsible for how we generate that energy. I love another thing that Brendon talks a lot about is that the power plant doesn't have energy. A power plant that supplies energy to our homes doesn't have energy. It generates energy. And so that's the lesson here for us, is that we have to generate the energy in our body to be resilient. We have to generate energy to be present to the next interaction and communication so that we can bring our best self, so we can bring our full presence. But if we're still fragmenting our mind and lamenting and negatively spiraling around that one communication, that one interaction, that one perceived rejection, the rest of the day is toast. We're not going to be able to do it. We're not going to have our full presence. We're going to be at 50% because we're going to be secretly still lamenting in our head. So release meditation gives us this space to breathe, to just allow, to reset, to turn off for just 1 or 2 or 3 minutes, saying physically out loud. Now, again, I outed myself. I said I thought this was silly, but once I started doing it, I was like, oh, it kind of feels good. It kind of feels nice. And then I started doing it for like 3 minutes and then 5 minutes. And then when I would come back to myself, I wouldn't be so sticky on the things that I thought were bothering me. And I would get refocused on the priorities of the day and refocus on the opportunities in front of me. There's always opportunities sitting in front of you, but the ones that you're like the most attached to are holding all your energy. And the ones that you're like hoping, I think there's got to be something inherently in us about winning, right? I don't think you'd be in real estate unless you kind of like winning. And so winning, you're putting a lot of energy toward winning, but a lot of things you just have to let go. You just have to let be, right? Sometimes they're still coming back to you. It's just not in this moment. It's not in this space. So the opportunity is to really allow yourself to be graceful and move on to the next thing. Because I'm sure the list of to do is long and long and long and long. And we got a lot of more stuff to bring our energy to, but we don't want to get lost over one stupid thing that happened, right? Okay. So this brings me to my next point, reframing the setback to set you up for success. Even what's the worst thing that can happen here? I mean, honestly, the worst thing that can happen is like you miss deadlines. You miss the follow-up that you said, I'll call you on Friday, that you didn't call Friday. You miss somebody just chooses somebody else. I mean, that's like the hardest thing ever when someone chooses someone else. But what can you do to allow yourself to learn from that experience and forgive yourself and move on? Because I don't think we should be so heartless and callous. We don't care at all. Because again, that's not going to serve. But there has to be a middle ground where we allow self-love, self-appreciation, celebrating what we are doing right. Sometimes your personal life is just tanking. Sometimes your physical health isn't well. Like all these things affect our ability to be resilient. And we have to notice when other things are taking priority, but then also getting back on point, getting back in the game, putting our mind and allowing ourselves to be present to what we want to experience every single day. It's still a fresh day. Whenever you're listening to this, even if you're listening to this replay in the middle of the night, tomorrow you're going to wake up and you get to start over. If you start over, you can be the best self you've ever been with these tips and these tools to allow yourself to just move through this with grace, because this business is like, whoop, 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 up, down, up, down. I mean, you're on a high, you're on a low, right? It's just, I think that's why we're all in it. There's a thrill to it. Okay. And my point number 4, don't do this alone. Build a support system. Bring people around you who are thinking like this, talking like this, giving you the feedback like this. Resiliency is a contagious attitude. And that's why you're here on the Agent Collective Power Huddle, because all us people here are trying to be our best selves, trying to learn, trying to grow. Yes, we want the cutting edge marketing tools, and we want to know everything we should be clicking on Google Business and everything we should be doing to attract leads and managing our brand and all that. But I promise you, none of that will serve you if you can't bring your energy and your focus and your attention to the business and to your life. And so these are fundamentals, absolutes, and required of us to stay positive, to stay present, to stay active, to stay willing to take the next shot. And I think that being community around people that give us this joy, that remind us of ourselves, and being really careful if you only surround yourself with other people who are self-defeatist and you're always the one trying to pick them up. Ain't nobody picking you up. Like, you got to get around people who pick you up, lift you up, remind you to shut up and get in the game, right? I love my husband. He's very, he's a high performance coach. So I get a lot of pillow talk around, how to be my best self. And he just likes to tell me all the time, like, I don't think they're saying what you think they're saying. Like he just likes to just flat out because I'm like, I don't like this message. And he said it. I'm always in my head trying to craft how to, make something happen. And whenever I share it, he's like, I don't think that's what they're saying. So, like, so I really come to the conclusion that that's what we need is people in our lives who are like, yeah, you're making a big deal of nothing. Shut up and get back in the game, right? And that's the best. Whether you have a mentor, a supportive brokerage, or even just a friend who understands and wants to see you rise up. Also, helping other people rise up, being that person for other people, especially our clients, guys. When you have to tell them, hey, your offer wasn't accepted. This is actually the time to teach them emotional resiliency because I promise you, if you just text them, your offer wasn't accepted and don't give them anything else, they're going into a crazy dark spiral that leads them onto Zillow looking in some other state and just them going, forget it, we're never going to buy a house. Might as well just move back to live by grandma and blah, 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 blah. Like the world is very sticky. And the majority of our clients are not doing the personal development work that we're doing to stay active as professionals. So they don't have the skills. So this is a great time to be like, you didn't get the house, but here's all the reasons why. And here's why it's going to be amazing. And here, let's go look at this house and like tidal waving them energy to show them that their outcome that they desire is coming. And this is just a small step back and then why it's really all working for them. Again, modeling and teaching all these kinds of energies to our clients will help them be successful. So also, if you see a fellow agent in your transactions who's struggling, sometimes I'll just kind of, hey, what's going on? You know what? I feel like I feel like a lot of things you're saying seem like they're coming from a very hard place. Do you have something going on? Stopping to be human, I think, is such a superpower. Allowing ourselves to just acknowledge each other from a more personal place than just PDFs and text messages all day. Because I don't know about you, but I care about people. I want people to succeed. I want everyone to have a good time. So when there's some kind of riff happening in a communication, be the one that steps in with curiosity and compassion. How cool is that we can shift an entire transaction that seems really rocky and rough? Because honestly, sometimes you're working with someone who doesn't have a lot of experience, so they don't necessarily know the landscape of what can be done or can't be done or how to say things or not to text you at 4 a.m. I mean, I know a lot of agents are experiencing that right now. They're like, whoa, the co-op agent texts me at 4 a.m. We just got a model for them how to do it, how to be in this business, how to be in a transaction, how to communicate with another human being about a real estate transaction. And in conclusion of my presentation today, I want to tell you that resiliency equals longevity. Resiliency equals vitality. Okay. I wasn't always like this. I know I show up on these calls and I bring a lot of energy and a lot of love to you, but it requires me to be present to that and decide that and just say, you know what, this is who I want to be in the world. This is how I want to be known. This is how I want to show up. And so you get to make a choice. Every time you interact with someone, you get to make a choice. Who are you? How do you want to be? How do you want to be remembered? How do you want to, just who do you want to be? I think that's just really what it rounds up. And it's like you get to choose and you get to choose over and over and over and over because you're going to make a phone call. You're going to send a text. You're going to be in an appointment with someone. You're going to be there being your best self because you release meditation in the car. If you ever met me in person, I probably gave you a deck of my cards. I created my own affirmation deck. It's called Inward Prompts. I literally created it for myself to help reset my own energy during the day. And then I decided that other people might like that too. So I produced it into an actual deck. If you're on this call or you're listening to this podcast somewhere and you just want a deck, just send me a message. You can send it to me on Instagram. My Instagram account is Dill Ward Group on Instagram, Dill Ward Group. So friend me, send me a message. Hey, I want a deck. I'll be happy to mail you a deck. But I created this deck literally to give myself something to distract myself from being irritated or annoyed or just in a funk, just in a like, that was annoying. That didn't go the way I wanted. I didn't like that, blah, blah, blah. And now I have to go be present with someone else. I mean, this is our sweet spot, I think, and why it can be a superpower in real estate, because we are in a high engagement business where we have to engage with a lot of people about a lot of things. And we have to switch in and out of the person we're being, right? Sometimes we're Sometimes I'm walking someone through a luxury property and accompanying their agent, and I'm showing them all the fancy things. And the next minute I'm talking someone off the ledge about backing out of their first home because the washing machine's broken. Like, we have to go in and out of different people's landscape and their mindscape and their ability to communicate even. And so resetting your energy as often as you can during the day to just be blank, to just show up, to be present, to just witness and watch, because so much of what we do is guiding other people to the outcome that they want, which means being detached from the outcome we want while also trying to drive it. That duality can be challenging. And also the emotional resiliency is the thing that helps remind you how to get to the other side. Okay, so I'm going to just remind you what I told you. So in case you have joined us late, thank you for joining us on the Agent Collective Power Huddle. I'm Dill Ward. Resiliency is like a muscle. You can build it just like your muscles in the gym. Also, you should be going to the gym. Guys, we sit at the desk. We sit on the computer. This is your prompt. This is your sign. Do some squats right now while you're listening to this call. We need our bodies to be in the best shape they can, and we need our minds to be in the best shape they can. We have to manage our stress. We have to recover from setbacks. We have to reframe our thinking. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. You got friends, you got community, you got me. I'm your new best friend. Reach out to me. Would love to give you these random pep talks at any junction. And you've got the Agent Collective here to keep helping you grow, be your best self, be the best agent you can, and keep crushing it 2025.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.